All right, so we're going to step it up a little bit. So instead of just having number or variables and numbers, we are going to have to also do some simplification to get rid of parentheses. So that means we're going to have to distribute here and then simplify. So that's going to be 1, and we have a negative 8 times x, negative 8x. Negative 8 times negative 8 is going to be positive 64. That equals 17. Okay. All right, so now looks like I have numbers here, number here, and variable here. So if I take 64 plus 1, that's 65. So I have a minus 8x plus 65 equals 17. So if I subtract 65, I get negative 8x equals. Now if I do that over here, 65 minus 17 carry, so that's a 5, that's a 15. So 8 and 7 is 15, 5 minus 1 is 4, so we get 48, and it's going to be a negative. Now I divide both sides by negative 8. Well, negative divided by negative is positive, so I get x equals 6, because 48 divided by 8 is 6. 6 times 8 is 48. And so that is the solution, I think. And now to check it, well, we take 1 minus 8 times 6 minus 8 equals 17. Well, 6 minus 8 is going to be minus 2, so I have 1 minus 8 times a negative 2 equals 17. Negative 8 times negative 2 is 16, so 1 plus 16 equals 17. And guess what? 17 equals 17. All right, so now what do we have? Well, now we have to distribute here and here. So we have a negative 8x plus 4x, then 4 times 7 is 28 equals negative 12. All right. So on the left, I have like terms, but here it's supposed to be over here. So I'm going to subtract 28. Minus 8 plus 4 is a minus 4x. Those cancel. And here we have, add those together. 8 and 2 is 10. Carry 1. 2 and 2 is 4. And it's going to be a negative. Now, if we have a negative 4 times x here, we have to divide by 4. A negative 4 rather. And so divide that by negative 4. Well, negative divided by negative is positive. So I get x equals, 4 goes in there 10 times. Okay. And once again, negative 8 times 10 plus 4 times 10 plus 7 equals negative 12. Well, here we have negative 80, and then we have plus 4 times 17 equals negative 12. Well, 17 times 4, that's going to give us 28. That's going to give us 68. And so it's positive. So it's negative 80 plus 68 equals negative 12. Now we take 80 minus 68. Now we have to borrow. 10 minus 8 is 2. 7 minus 6 is 1. And the larger one was negative. So negative 12 equals negative 12. So that does check out. Okay. All right, what about the next one here? Well, it's going to be very similar. We're just going to distribute here, and we still have our negative 8x here in front. Then we have plus 7x, and minus 14 equals minus 14. Okay. Well, we've got like terms here, so we can add those, and we need to get rid of the 14. So to get rid of it, we have to add 14 to both sides. So guess what? That cancels, we get 0. Well, guess what over here? That cancels, and so we get 0 over there as well. Now we have minus 8 plus 7, so it's going to be a minus 1 times x, or a minus x. Now we divide by negative 1. X equals, well, 0 divided by anything is 0. So you can have 0 parts of any kind of size of pie you have, and it's still 0 parts you're going to get. And so we have a negative 8 times 0 plus 7 times 0 minus 2 equals minus 14. Well, 8 times 0, that's 0. Then we have 7 times 0 is 0. And then 7 times minus 2, that's minus 14 equals minus 14. So we did the distribution, but we knew that was 0, and the only thing that mattered was 7 times 2 was negative 14. All right, some more. Now we've got distribution on both sides. So we'll distribute here and distribute here. So minus times a minus is plus, and we have 4x. Minus times, that's a negative 36, plus 5 equals, that's a negative times a negative, so it's a 5x. Negative times a negative is positive, so it's going to be plus 4. All right, so it looks like first thing we need to do is add on each side to get the numbers all together. So that gives us 4x. Now we have minus 36 plus 5, so that's going to be minus 31. And then we have 5x. And here we have 4 minus 2, and that's 2. Now I see there's more x's here than here. So if I subtract 4x, that means this side will be a positive x. And so I'll subtract 2 here. So I'm doing 2 steps at once. Those cancel, those cancel. Now I have minus 31 minus 2, that's minus 33. 5 minus 4 is 1, so that's just x. Okay, and so I get x equals a negative 33. Now what do? Well, now I plug it back in and see what I get if it checks. So negative 4 times a negative 33. So that's going to be a positive 33 plus 9 plus 5 equals a minus. Now we have a minus 5 times a negative 33, and then minus 4 minus 2. All right. So 33 plus 9. All right, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a 4. So now we have a negative 4 times that. So if we times by 4, that's going to give us 8. That's going to be 16. So that's going to give us negative 168 plus 5. So we kind of did all those steps right there. And then minus 168 plus 5 is going to give us negative 163 on the left. Now on the right, all right, so here we have to multiply, and so a negative times a negative is positive. So we're going to have, let's see, where do we want to put this? Anyway, we'll put it right here. 33 times 5, 15, carry 1, 16. So that's 165 minus 4. That's 161, okay? And it's a positive 161, but now we're saying it's a negative, so it's going to be a negative 161 minus 2, and so that's going to be a negative 163, and that checks because that is equal to that, and so it works. A little more complicated check because the numbers are getting bigger and we have more things that we're doing with all the parentheses and everything else. So the checks become harder, but it's still important to do your checks to make sure you're doing the work correctly. All right, so I'm assuming this one's going to be another one where the checks are going to be a little more drawn out, but we still can solve it simply. We distribute. Minus 5 times that's going to give us negative 25x. Minus times a minus is plus 45. Then minus 3. Here we get a negative 8x. Here we get a negative 20. And then here we get negative 6. Okay. Well, let's take and add like terms on each side first. And so we get a negative 25x. 45 minus 3 is going to be plus 42 equals negative 8x. And then a minus 20 minus 6 is minus 26. All right. Now, what do we want to do? We could say add 8 to this side and we end up with negative x's, or we could add 25 to this side and get positive x's. It really doesn't matter because we can divide by a negative or a positive, and it's just as easy both directions. So it really doesn't matter. If we want to be with positives only, we'll just add 25x here, which means we'll have to add 26 here. So those cancel, those cancel. Now we can add on the left, 6 and 2 is 8, 4 and 2 is 6. And on this side, let's go ahead and do our 25 minus 8. So carry 1, and so we have 7 and 1. And so that's going to be a 17x. Okay. Well, now we divide by 17. And so x equals what? Well, now we have to take 17 into 68. So if we take that times 4, what would that be? That would be 28 2, that'd be 60. So it looks like that's equal to 4. Okay, and I kind of choose my numbers based on my 7. I need to figure out something times 7 gives me 8. Well, 7 times 4 would give me 28. So I tried that and it actually worked. Sometimes you'll try it and it'll be either too big or too small, and then you have to try other numbers. Sometimes looking just at that number there to get the value you need here, we got our value we needed and we got that it was equal to 4. Now we do our check. And so we have 5 times 4, that's going to be 20 minus 9. And so 20 minus 9 is going to be 11 and times -5. So that's going to be a negative 55 minus 3. So that's a negative 58. And over here we have 2 times 4 is 8 plus 5, that's 13 times 4. Well, 13 times 4, that's 12. That's 52. And it's going to be a negative, so it's a negative 52 minus 6. And that's also negative 58. So that checks. So that is the correct answer. Okay. And we'll pause there.